cool. I think we will probably get started then. And then you can just add people as we go. Try and do that. It can always be a bit difficult. So today we are going through influencer marketing as an SEO tactic, because there's a lot of people that have joined today. I think that might be quite a popular topic. Influencer marketing is a big thing at the moment, and I'm sure you're all aware, you will probably follow influencers in some way, shape or form, but Beth here is the expert on influencer marketing, so she's going to take you through it and how you might be able to use it for your business. It's not just for the likes of, you know, those massive e-commerce companies paying Kim Kardashian millions of pounds to post something on Instagram. It is accessible to everyone, if you make it work and you know how to do it. So I will hand over to Beth to take you through what we're doing today and get started.
Fab, thanks Liv. I will apologise in advance, I might have a few dog barks in the background, but I'll try my best to distract him. Just letting a few more people in, just 1 second.
The joys of everyone working from home at the moment. You've either got kids screaming in the background or a dog barking. That's another reason everyone needs to be on mute.
Okay, fab, 1 extra added. Okay, cool. Thanks for joining this session, guys. As Liv said, my name's Beth. I've worked in PR and social media, which obviously includes influencer marketing, for around 5 years. I've run lots of different marketing campaigns from, you know, huge national brands right down to small independents. So I like to think I'm fairly well placed to run today's session and hopefully answer any questions you may have on this as well. So just a bit of an overview of what we're going to go through today. So introduction to what influencer marketing is, what makes an influencer, then looking at how we understand different types of influencer. And like Liv said, it's not the same for every type of company. It's scalable. You identify them and, you know, see how they differ from there and how they can work best for you. Picking the perfect ambassador. So we'll give you some tips on how to make sure the influencer is a right fit. I think that's the most important thing. Devising a strategy with SEO in mind. So we'll go through 4 online goals and look at how influencer marketing can boost SEO within them and how collaborations could look between the influencers and yourselves as well. Some social housekeeping to make sure your pages are in tip-top shape before you land a partnership. Again, something that's really important, maybe even your first step in influencer marketing. A little how-to guide, so a quick 101 on how to get you up and running today, if you literally decide, you know, this could be for me. Some key takeaways to remember then, and like Liv said, a little question and answer session at the end. Now I'll start this with a quote, and I feel like everyone starts stuff with a quote, but I think it's really important, and it is a quote from Mean Girls, but I think it's really important to just show the scale of, you know, influence and how it creates a domino effect. So it says, one time I saw Cody Heron wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops. And it's a film that I used to watch loads as a kid, but it just relates back to how everyone is guilty of, you know, benchmarking their success with others and looking at, you know, one person as their idol. So, and I think social media is just taking that to a completely different level. You know, what was traditionally known as keeping up with the Joneses has turned into keeping up with the Kardashians, like Liv said. And funnily enough, I do like to mention Kim because I think she's a really good example of how people can use social media to drive success. You know, everybody's heard of her, whether they like her or not. Social media in general has sort of encouraged us to buy into other people's lifestyles. So whether it's, you know, looking at what celebrities are doing or looking at what your friends are doing, maybe even your enemies, you know, what started up as a photo sharing platform become, look at what I have. It's there to boast. It's there to push out every aspect of your life, whether it's you decorating something in your house, what you're eating, what you're doing, where you're going, every single thing. It's also a way for celebrities to inspire others, also allow the public to aspire to be them, and so on. You know, there's lots of different aspects to it on how it can be used, but it all comes back to the idea that, you know, the expensive lifestyle that you're buying into with social, everybody wants it, but they're on a lemonade budget. It's unattainable. So like I said, influencer marketing is scalable. It's different for everyone, but the psychology is you're following and engaging with an influencer, so they're your friend, you're in the know, and you're up to date. So looking at that scale, so the rise of the influencers opened up so many new doors and streams of revenue for brands. Brands in all verticals have used micro and macro influencers to promote their offerings. They both offer huge SEO value. You might hear the term micro interchanged with nano, macro interchanged with maxi or super. It's all very interchangeable, but essentially means small to large. The example on the left is from L'Oreal. Now, they released a True Match foundation a few years ago. They were basically the first cosmetics company in the market, shockingly, to offer up to 40 shades to people of colour. So they're the first people in the cosmetic space to diversify that offering. They pushed it out through a micro-influencer campaign. And the reason they did this is, they didn't want a big celebrity behind the face of their campaigns. They didn't want an endorsement. They wanted real faces, real people. And the proof was there. So they had, for every £1 they spent on advertising, they had £3 back. They had over 250,000 new customers. They became the market leader in 6 months after being stuck, way behind the trails for 3 years. And it goes to show that it's really scalable to any budget, because even though it's a household name, the amount of money that they spent on that campaign was actually minimal for them. And then on the right, another Kardashian. It's just there to show. But Kylie Jenner. So this photo that she's taken with these hair minerals, she's probably never tried them, doesn't like them, never wants to try them, has no point in publishing this collaboration other than money. And the thing is with macro influencers is, yes, it's great, you've got that big, massive reach, you've got the viral fame, but how many conversions do you get? Where's that return on investment for you? Is it credible, and we'll go through a few things of that today. But, it's scalable to any budget if you find the right person. And that is key. And it sounds silly, but, there are collaborations out there that just really don't make sense. So, choose that influencer. It's got to instantly spark sense to the user. If it's not on brand, it may as well be completely off brand. And as you can see on screen, as silly as a bodybuilder promoting KFC, it won't make sense either way. But you've got to find someone that does make sense and build a relationship from there. Now, over the years, there has been the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not as fluffy as it seems with the big celebrities or even the smaller ones. It's hard work. These are two examples of how campaigns have flopped over the years. And I think they're good ways to show of the thought maybe that's got to go behind it. So the one on the left is from Sunnyco Clothing. Around the time of the Baywatch remake a few years ago, they offered free red swimsuits to everybody who commented. Now, they were a really small company. Looking to scale, but also they had massive dreams. But the bad thing is they didn't have the stock to fulfill that promise. So you had about 3,000 entries into that competition and about 30 swimsuits sent out. So instantly, yes, they had that reach, which was amazing, but then they also got the followers, annoyed them, and then they disappeared. So potentially they've, annoyed people that won't come back in the future. So you've got to be clever about it. The one on the right, again, a Kardashian, always good example for big influencers. This is Scott Disick. He used to be married to one of the sisters, and he did a collaboration with Booty. You can literally see on the screen, his caption says, "Here you go, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right the below. Caption," and then there's the caption. So he's literally copied and pasted it. It's not credible. It's not how people should be working with influencers, because they take so much pride in their work. So when you're finding that perfect ambassador, it comes down to really one point. You got to, expose your brand, entice your audience, and engage with your audience. And how you do that is you want to push social users down the sales funnel. Everything comes back to sales for everyone. But to do that, it's got to make sense. So this is just a little bit of a hit list on how to find that perfect ambassador. So first and foremost, have they tried and tested your product? If you have a physical product, I always like to give an example of like a soap company. Are you just sending them out to random people, or are you expecting them to maybe post about it without even trying the product? It's not credible. Get the product into their hands and get them to try it. Are they known for opinions in that field? So again, if you're a small soap producer, are you going to target maybe a local blogger who talks about food? Probably not. Yes, the platform's relevant. The platform's credible, but it's not that relevant for the people you're looking for. You're looking for skincare people. You're looking for people of that target audience. Is the perfect ambassador genuine and down to earth? Yes, they've definitely got to be. So if the person you're reaching out to, you know, doesn't have, maybe speaks to their followers a lot, or, you know, they seem a bit contrived, they're probably not the right person for you. You want someone who almost seems like an everyday person, but has got that nice following behind them. Yeah, has a loyal and engaged following. So yeah, you don't want them posting content and not having people speak to them. You want to see people bought into their lifestyle. You want to see, oh my God, I love what you're wearing, or oh my gosh, you mentioned that before, amazing. You want people who are following them to be really engaged with them. Again, the perfect ambassador will want to work with you and not for you. So you'll notice they recommend content examples, you know, they're really excited. They're excited about the collaboration just as much for you as they are for them. They really take pride in their work, and they work really collaboratively, which is nice. So yeah, if you're looking for someone who's very much by the book, I will do this for you, you know, it's probably not the right choice for you. You want someone who you can almost class as an extension of your business, almost like a friend of the business. So that's what we're looking for in an ambassador. And I guess on the flip side, there's also warning signs of what you should definitely look out for as well, which I've just noted some of these down here. So again, you might not get these with a lot of smaller influencers, but it's always worth to be on the lookout if you're going to be aligning your brand with theirs. So if they've got bad press or they're a notorious figure, you know, depending on what brand you are, obviously, but most of the time you will not want to be align yourself with that. Endorsements of opposites. So like I said, with the KFC and the bodybuilder, if you're a small scale chocolate producer, you're not going to want to maybe target a food blogger who promotes Slimming World. You know, for example, you want to get someone in your niche, not the opposite of it. So even though it's food, it's not relevant. Fake followers or spam bots. So you can literally just Google engagement calculator and or follower calculator on Instagram, etc., and it'll show you if they've bought followers or comments. And you know, to the naked eye, sometimes you can't see, and it's useful just to go on these quick free tools and just check, you know, these are credible people, especially if you're looking to start paying people and giving them a piece of your service or offering for free. Distasteful views and language. Again, if you're a small family-run business, you got to be thinking about how this person presents themselves on social. So for example, influencers I've worked with before, we've had to look out for things like uploading when drunk, or maybe some of the phrases they use with offensive language, etc. You've got to be looking at what they push, because it will be an extension of your brand. Again, affiliation with similar brands, something you've got to look out for with the medium to larger size influencers is they'll be bought into deals. So for example, like I said, if you're the soap company and they've got, I don't know, a collaboration with Dove, it might be that they actually cannot work with you because of contractual reasons. Similarly, you know, if they promote every other soap company out there, you want to stand out, go to someone else that will truly hero your brand. And again, in general, I guess, living and breathing the same values. Like I said, if you tie yourself to them, completely make it transparent, and make sure that person's exactly like you are. See, you're armed with all that knowledge. I appreciate it's being chucked at you, but you know, influencer marketing, it comes down to the fact that what do you want from it? Brand exposure, new social followers, backlinks to your site, sales. Well, influencer marketing contributes to all of these things in different ways. Now, it is easier, you know, if you've got B2C, it is easier if you've got a physical product offering, but there are ways to work around it. But as long as you pick the right influencer and make sure you can tap into all of these different things. What we're going to look at now is the different goals and how they boost SEO efforts. And it's just a little stat I wanted to include here as well, is 92% of people trust recommendations from other people over brand ads. And it's interesting to know, because influencer marketing is almost more in line with word of mouth than it is advertising, because like I said, these people think influencers are their friends, their family, they trust them a lot. So, you know, use them, use their platform, and use it for a right benefit. So yeah, let's run through these goals individually and see how they can support at every touch point. And I've got to apologize for the the punny pictures, because I'm a creative at heart, but I thought just bring a little bit lighthearted to this situation. But goal one, so how can you increase online visibility? So influencer marketing is a great tactic to get your name out there. So if their content is appealing, this is the influencer now, enticing, good quality, you know, they work really hard to make sure their work is of good value. It's not spammy. So how they're increasing your online visibility is they're using their platform to push your platform out there. So that could be seen in various different ways. It could be backlinks to your site. If it's someone local or maybe someone more relevant in your niche, again, it's much more useful, bringing back to the fact that they convert and it's more reliable. So work with them to increase your online visibility as well as theirs. So, you go to the influencer and you say, perhaps you've done a little bit of keyword research, or, you're going through the SEO Academy at Nettle. Did you know there are, for example, 500 searches a month for this term? It's linked to my product offering. This is what I do. I think if we were able to work together, your followers would be really interested in this. So it's about making it really desirable, putting a package on a plate for them. And typically they're happy to help. Discuss how the keyword rankings and the monthly search volumes benefit them as well as you. All they think about is their followers. Goal 2, so increasing quality traffic. The key point here is relevancy. So if you go for smaller niche followers to tick the boxes, that makes sure the traffic is of really good quality. So they're more loyal, they're more interested, therefore they're more likely to convert. So you're better off having, 5 smaller influencers rather than 50 big ones, even if budget wasn't an issue, because you're tapping into that relevant niche. You're speaking to people who are relevant. So they'll work with you, to increase this traffic. They'll be working on things like anchor text within SEO. They'll be looking at landing pages, inclusions of keywords, etc. And again, all these goals sort of tie into one another, but influencers do definitely touch individually upon each touch point. So social following is a bit of an easy one. So competitions, driving people to your page, using the influencers platform as a podium. At the end of the day, they know what their audience like the most. And to be honest, if they didn't like your offering, they wouldn't be partnering with you, especially if you pick that credible person. So to increase your social following, tap into different trends, into different audience sometimes maybe. Tell a story that entices people. So use the influencer's knowledge and get them to impart wisdom on their audience to you, because at the end of the day, they are seen to endorse your product or your offering or your social media pages as soon as they collaborate with you. And hey, that's driving their followers to you. So goal 4, increase reach and engagement. Apologies in advance, guys. So increase reach and engagement. This goal complements the others, so it goes hand in hand with them. So if someone visits your social page or your blog and they like what they see, they engage. So once they're there, your reach is already maximized. And if they share it, that's just a bonus. But coming back to the relevancy point, if someone's super interested in skincare, if you're the soap company, maybe they find your products, it's likely that they'll share it with their followers and friends, because to be honest, they've probably got followers and friends that like similar sort of products too. So these influencers you're partnering with, they have almost personal goals that they want to reach for their engagement too as well. So they'll do things like post questions on their posts. Do that too, and you'll instantly see an increase in your reach and engagement with hashtags and posing questions. So in a nutshell, almost a bit of a step-by-step process. What is your business objective? What do you want from it? Figure out a strategy from there. Who is the perfect influencer? Touch base, negotiate a deal. How does the content look? Do you continue working with them? Is it a bit of a one-off thing? You're pulling those benefits in, keep tracking the success on Google Analytics, etc., Instagram, depends what channel you're using. But it's a fairly straightforward process once you get into the swing of it. But I've put a little caveat at the bottom, and I could have a completely different presentation on this in general, but just a simple Google will actually get you all you need. But if you are collaborating with influencers, especially if you're giving them a product, a service, or even a fee for their work, make sure they're in touch with the latest ASA requirements. So lots of influencers have come under fire for not disclosing that their work is paid or gifted. It comes back to the credibility thing. So you want to just make sure that they are ticking that box there. So you might think, right, how does this look? Yes, I might want to use influencer marketing. I have a bit of an understanding now of what it does for me, but what sort of posts could they be? So the little Venn diagram on the right is really useful. So the influencer section, they're people that maybe haven't heard about your brand, but would be good examples of people to reach out to. The green brand advocates are people that already like your brand and perhaps already shouting about your brand. And the organic influencers in the middle are people with a following shouting about your brand. Ideally, you want to be moving as many people in that yellow category into the blue. Find people with a following and get them to endorse your brand. But what will the post look like? So if you have a physical product, send them it for review. You know, can you do something a bit more creative with a bit more money behind it? Like, oh, sorry, I've just had a message to say someone can't hear anything.
I can still hear. Can everyone wave if they can hear? Or yeah, I think everyone else is okay. So we might have to share the recording with you if you can't hear. But just feel free to put your name or your email address in the chat, and we can share the recording afterwards. Feel free to carry on, Beth.
Yeah, so I just wanted to double check on that. Cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking, have I been talking this whole time to myself? Okay, great. So yeah, if you've got a bit more money to put behind it and it's a physical product, can you send them like a hamper or something a bit more creative to show that, you know, one, you're following them well yourself, and two, you're really interested in them as a person. Could it be, you know, if it's their birthday, can you send something? This is really good if you're a food brand. I mean, who doesn't love free food on their birthday? Anything personalized is always nice. And what they're going to do is they're going to start either reviewing in the form of a blog post, or they're going to start posting about your brand on social media. So these are all different ways of how you reach out to them and they give you something back in return. Another idea which could work well if you're really into the local angle is, you know, offer to pay for small influencer trips in the local area, perhaps including a visit to your establishment if you're a small shop on the local high street, for example. Outreach is really good. It's something I do almost every day, and although a lot of people see it as almost cold calling, you are touching base with people that actually are probably in that yellow section in that Venn diagram, and it's really good to just put your brand in front of them. So, you know, make random influencers aware of your offering. Is there anything that takes their fancy they'd like to try? Anything they're working on coming up that you could work with them for? Some people see this as, you know, a bit salesy and they're not that comfortable doing it. Another easier way is to have maybe a media inquiries or a PR inquiries section on your website to drive people and show you are PR friendly. So with the brand awareness piece, if you are a small business and you've perhaps got a bit of a sustainable or charity offering, reach out to influencers in that space. This is more often than not something they'd like to align themselves with, or maybe become an ambassador. These are really good selling points for influencers who are looking to grow their following as well. At the end of the day, it looks really good for them. So definitely include that. Then affiliate program or hashtag ad. So this is looking more, so the affiliate programs are more of a long-term partnership, looking at perhaps kickback in profits per sale for them. And partnerships in terms of hashtag ads are a bit more one-off, and it's, you know, you're paying them to say something on behalf of your brand or to endorse your brand publicly. So, you know, a lot of the content you're scrolling through on your personal feeds on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter anyway, you'll start noticing, you know, that is hashtag ad, that is hashtag affiliate. And like I said, with the ASA requirements, they will be required to use those hashtags. So keep an eye out now you've been made aware of them, and try and think of them perhaps in a smaller scale and how they could work for your business. So tips for you. So you've driven an influencer to your page, but really it's got to be good in itself if you want somebody to convert. So just a few little tips, and these are really basic, but again, some things are often overlooked. So response times on Facebook. So if you've got a shop on Facebook and you're running a page where you perhaps offer an inbox customer services sort of response, you know, make sure your response times are okay. So, you know, you're not leaving it 2 days to get back to someone's small inquiry where they're asking what a phone number is through a direct message. You know, as soon as you can get back, even if it's a little placeholder saying, you know, sorry, I've just picked this message up, I'll speak to the team and get back to you. You've got to get that response time built up, because it's going to be one of the first things appearing on your Facebook page. So it will literally appear, you know, average response time 2 days, 2 hours, and it will literally move from green to red. So the quicker you can get there, the better, really. It looks like you're really loyal, you're engaged with your followers, and you're there to help. I know they're more likely then to drop you a message than, you know, drop lengthy emails if they just want a quick little answer. Strong branding. So again, depends what type of brand you've got, but you should all have something that's recognizable to you on social media. So whether it's, you know, again, the point below, the tone of voice, or visually the colors and the styles, and maybe you push out a certain type of illustration or whatever. You know, not many brands, you know, do have, especially when they're smaller, have the budget to be able to take people on to create nice stuff on social media for them. But there's lots of guides online on how you can do it yourself, and sort of use your own, even iPhones or Androids, etc., just to take your content up a notch. But make sure it all looks like you. Quality of post over quantity. So don't feel like you need to get stuff out every day. Actually, platforms like Instagram and Facebook could penalize you for it. Post when your followers are active. Post when it makes sense. You know, when you've got something to say. Don't post when you haven't got anything to say. Community engagement. So this is essentially another way of saying show your followers some love. So if they comment on something, comment back, like it back, start a conversation. And this is where they get down to the nitty-gritty of your brand and see what you are like in terms of your personality. Relevant hashtags. So obviously hashtags, you all know, maximize reach. People are tapping into these every day globally. Any you can include that are relevant to your topic, include them. Any similar accounts you can tag in photos on Twitter, you can tag 10 similar accounts. So for example, if you're a small handmade home accessory business, you're going to want to be tagging in perhaps interior design trends accounts, anything you can that's relevant to maximize your reach. Abreast of current trends. So, you know, I'm sure you're all following the news, as daunting as it is lately, but anything that comes up in your niche or in your area, talk about it, show you're an expert in that field, show you're up to date, give people something to talk about and to come to your platform for. Realistic timing. This is an important one, and it's kind of funny. So if back in the day, for example, if you used to get up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, please be mindful that, you know, your followers probably aren't up then as well. You're better off waiting until, you know, just after lunch or about 8 o'clock to start posting, and, you know, get it in front of the right eyes. And you might be thinking, right, she's talked for ages now, but how do I actually start this? And, you know, it's I've got to be honest, influencer marketing won't be as relevant or as easy for all businesses and niches. Like I said, if you've got a physical product you can gift, or a physical location people can visit, or, you know, you've got an online website with e-commerce, or it's a specific niche where influencers following can get you more followers. These are all the types of things that you will greatly benefit from. There are ways to make it work with B2B, etc. But these are definitely the easy wins. And if you fall into one or more of those categories, I definitely say give it a go. But how, this is literally a little step-by-step guide if you think, you know, after today's session, well, this is something I should at least try, and go from there. So the first thing is, you know, that value exchange, what can you offer them in return? Is it a product? Is it a location? What does that look like? How much can you afford to give away? How often? You really need to be looking back at the return on investment for this and seeing, you know, you don't want to be putting yourself too far out there if you can't afford to be donating that much. So your objectives, what do you want from it? Do you think, oh, actually, there was a huge trend around my product last year, but I didn't really get any shouting about it. I'd really like to have more Instagram followers because I think I'd get more sales that way. So, you know, decide on your objective and figure out where you go from there. So once people are already engaging with your company, and these were the brand advocates that in that green Venn diagram, you'll get social media comments, you'll get positive reviews, you know. These are the people that first and foremost you want to be shouting about. So if they're already brand advocates, make sure you're doing that community management to make them feel loved. Because if not, and you're partnering with influencers in the meantime, they can often feel pushed out. So search hashtags on Instagram. Yeah, so again, if you're the soap company, hashtag skincare Sunday. Great ways of putting your content in front of relevant audiences. Look at your competitors' Instagram accounts. If you see a brand and you think, oh, I'd love to be like them, or I really like the stuff that they push out, or their sales are much better than mine, etc. Look at what they're doing. What type of people are they following? What type of people are followed by them? You know, find people interested in that niche or area. And once you go from there, you'll find people similar to your target audience, and it is a bit of a domino effect. So sometimes if I'm looking for bigger influencers, I might look at a certain influencer followed by a brand I like, and then go into what influencers that influencer follows. It's a bit of a chain effect, and you truly can get lost. So definitely take your time on it. But a good example there is if you're a mum and you're, if you're a children's clothing brand and you're looking to target mums, you can talk about lots of different sort of niches around that subject, and find people that are really on your hit list. So once you've got to that, you want to create a list. And again, relating back to that ROI and what you can actually afford to work on, etc., create a list of people you want to work with on different scales. So whether it's you're thinking, oh, actually, this person's only got 200 followers, but I think they're really relevant to my platform, so I could afford to give them two pieces of this soap and send them in a package. This person then has 2,000 followers, and they actually said they're going to write a blog post as well and include all these awesome keywords that I want to rank higher for. So what I'd like to do is also send them, I don't know, £20 Amazon voucher for their time, etc. You can scale it up. I've been involved in campaigns where people would literally get thousands of pounds. So, like I said, it's scalable. Decide what you want from it and go from there. If you are speaking to the right people, you'll often find that in small businesses, you won't really get people asking for much money. And if it is, they're more than happy actually for a gift for these smaller influencers. So obviously that's helpful for you as well, because you haven't got to fork out too much. Go on to those online calculators. Have they got good engagement? If any of you have got children as well, I know this is something like a little bit of detective work, which is quite fun. But check they've got comments and likes going through that are credible and are relevant to the image. If you've got lots of ones that are just emojis or a bit irrelevant, the comments is probably because they're bought. So just have a little look. It doesn't take too long. Then you've just got to take the plunge. So reach out through direct message or email. Say to them, this is what I'm working on. Are you working on anything similar? I'd love to work with you. I think your followers will really enjoy my products. Here's perhaps a discount code, of your name. And if you enter that in my Shopify account or whatever, your followers will get 10% off. They like to give stuff back to the followers as well. So things like that are really useful if you can afford to do that. These little incentives are really useful for the influencers. So yeah, again, discuss what they're worth, but make sure they understand your brief. So if there's something you particularly want to shout about, make sure they're aware of it. Make sure they disclose it as #ad. You don't want yourself getting into trouble, but just make sure, again, they've got everything they need. And once they do, when they get that content live, you need to be tracking the performance to look at your return on investment, because you might see, actually, yes, it was okay, but maybe influencer marketing, I didn't quite get it. It wasn't necessarily worth my time. Or, you know what, that worked well. And if I do it bigger next time, I think that could work even better. So track your following on Instagram, track your website visitors, any people that you do give a promo code to, and, on your e-commerce, track the usage of that and the redemptions of that. And I appreciate, again, it's a lot of information, especially when you're new to the game, but I've put a few key takeaways down here. But my first one is, just try it. If you've got nothing to lose, just try it. But always ensure your branding, your social, and your web, etc. are perfect. So, as a small business owner, you've got a lot on your plate already. So don't bite off too much. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't throw something new into the mix if you're not completely happy with what's already there. Perfect that, and influencer marketing is definitely a next good step for people. Again, think about what they can do for you. If the value isn't that much, maybe move on to someone else who can, guarantee something a bit more or want to work with you a bit more. Relevancy over reach, get nice people working with you, build that relationship. Always negotiate. So again, if they're asking for a lot of money, kindly step away, move on to something else. Especially as a small business owner, you're going to want something that's has more longevity to it. So gifting little products here and there that'll bring you a good return on investment is probably better for you. Take advantage of their experience. So definitely, a lot of them have worked in PR or media, sometimes even journalism. So ask them for their suggestions, even if they're university students. They've been in the industry through work placements, etc. They understand the social sphere really, really well. Their content production skills are amazing. Just ask their suggestions, be quite transparent with them, and you'll often find that works out better. And then finally, just make them feel loved. So they've come under fire in recent years, and they're not actually treated as well as, they're not given much credit. Make them feel loved, and definitely build that relationship. So yeah, I appreciate it. Again, it's a lot of information to be thrown at you at once, but hopefully it's given you a good indication as to how you can get influencer marketing up and running. It's something you can get, boost your SEO with. Hopefully I've shown you that, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on top of that as well. I might just have a look in the chat first and foremost.
Thanks, Beth. That was really useful. We've got a few questions just people asking for the recording.
Okay.
It will be on the SEO Academy. I've put the URL in here, but if you do have any issues, please email seo@nettle.com. But let's just go through some of the questions. I can ask them, and then they'll probably be best placed for you to answer them. I see the benefit of this approach for B2C, but how does this work with B2B? If you are providing service as opposed to product, how do influencers provide value?
Okay, yeah, that's a really interesting question. Like I said, it will benefit certain types of businesses more than others, but there's ways for it to work for B2B. So presuming you're all on LinkedIn, you will have thought leaders in your field that have a good following that will almost act as that influencer for you. So again, they will work with you just like, a small scale Kim Kardashian could be, and they'll work with you on creating that content for LinkedIn. And especially if they've got followers within your niche, that's just as relevant. Again, as long as it's relevant, run with it, and I'm sure you'll see the results.
And next question, are there lists of influencers, or how do you find them?
Yeah, so there are some sort of influencer marketing agencies, like in London, there's one called Fanbytes, etc. And, they're huge. They deal with people who want thousands of pounds for each post. And it depends what scale you're looking for, but, searching hashtags and finding out people that post those types of content, they will be influencers within that field. So you can, just literally go on Instagram. Again, that's a free tool, so that's really good. There are some talent agencies, if you're looking to take it up a step a little bit, talent agencies in London that will post their talent and show you what type of influencers they are.
Sorry, Beth, one thing I've done previously as well that you could do is if your business is in a specific area, so if you're in Cheltenham, for example, you could, maybe not in a real specific area, but you could just Google search, influencers in the whatever area you're in, and then there might be some blog articles already live just on different influencers in the area that are very specific to the area. Or you could search Google and say influencers in fashion, for example, and then there'll be different ones that will come up. So it's a bit of I suppose detective work, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm from Cardiff, and I used to work on a lot of campaigns in the local area at the beginning of my career, and I'd always search hashtag Cardiff blogger, and there are loads of people who'd be into these conversations. So try lots of different terms, and more often than not you'll definitely find people that fit the bill.
You mentioned a calculator. Where can I find that, and how best to use it?
Yeah, cool. So you can literally Google things like engagement rate calculator. It'll be one of the first 1 or 2 things that appear on Google. And essentially what it does is you just type in the username of the person you almost want to vet. And what it'll do is it'll show their engagement rate. So it shows, the credibility of so the average is 2%, which sounds really low. But actually that's really good. So if it's anything, below that, you want to start rethinking. But again, there's lots of little quick how-to guides, but the calculators are really easy to use and it'll do all the work for you, which is a bonus. Oh, Liv, you're just on mute, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Just from your experience, what would be your expectation of return on investment?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I guess it depends what you offer. I've never worked on a campaign that hasn't brought back what with investment was and more. It really depends on what you're able to offer, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think one thing I would add to that is it probably comes into the research you do first. So if you don't do much research and you just contact someone because you think they look okay, and it comes back to the influencer not being relevant to your business, if you've chosen the wrong person, the return on investment probably isn't going to be very good. But what I would probably recommend is like testing it. So if you say you sent out one product to a customer and it cost you £50 to send and gift that to someone, and then actually you were somehow able to track with a code, like a 10% off code that you give people, that actually you got 10 people in return for giving that £50 product, then you can work out your cost versus what you got back and work out the return on investment there. So I think ultimately there's not one specific return on investment figure, but I think if you start testing it, you would then work out what your return on investment should be, or what would be a good return on investment. And you can always compare it to other marketing channels. So if you do anything paid at the moment and you spend £300 or something and you only get 10 sales, but you end up spending £50 on this for one, giving a product to someone, and you get 10 sales, you can actually see that actually maybe the return on investment from influencer marketing is good for you. And then again, like Beth said, it might not be right for some businesses. So you could also compare it to your channels and see if it's potentially not working.
Definitely, especially if you're looking for medium to larger size influencers, a lot of them will come to you with case studies where they've worked with other brands, and that'll show you the return on investment they've brought for other brands. So if you do have the money to be able to fork out with bigger people, they will sort of put that on the plate for you as well.
Yeah. I've been approached by an influencer who's got thousands of followers on TikTok, but hardly any on Instagram. Are some platforms better than others?
Yeah, like yeah, it depends what you want to do. Where are your audience more sat? So if you think of the sort of age and demographic of your target audience, are they more likely to sit on TikTok or Instagram? Because if it's TikTok, definitely go from there as long as their engagement rate is good. Or if it's Instagram, you probably want to find someone else who's got a higher Instagram following. It might be the case that he started off, or he or she started off a TikTok and then an Instagram. I mean, it might be worth finding that out if, they were first and foremost TikTok famous, as it were. Yeah, wherever your followers sit and your target audience sit, go from there. You want to be in the places that they're looking for you in.
And I think also make sure you can track success of it. Don't gift someone or pay someone with no way of tracking the success. So if it's easier to track something on Instagram for you than TikTok, then you might want to try a different platform if you're not sure how to track it on another platform.
Or for example, if you're not on TikTok and you think, actually, if I do it with someone on Instagram, that's also driving people to the Instagram page. So it's almost killing two birds with one stone. You're driving people perhaps to your site by swiping up on Instagram stories, but then also to your Instagram page. Whereas if you're not on TikTok, you've almost lost a possible other conversion in a different way as well.
Thank you. And then the next question is similar to a previous one, but what is the best way to find an influencer?
Yeah, I definitely start through Instagram, or Twitter's a really good one as well. Just sometimes even hashtag blogger request. And if you search through that, you'll find loads of creators that are looking for different types of products to review, etc. You've probably got things like a tweet. An example tweet would probably be hashtag blogger request. I'm looking for a skincare product to review in my upcoming blog. Please contact me. And they'll put their email, and that's a great opportunity to just jump on that. But yeah, there will be conversations that are already going on. Definitely tap into those and just get your brand out there as many ways as possible. But also look at who's following who on Instagram, and you'll probably find a lot of relevant people there.
I think also if you don't know if something is a hashtag that people use, because I know there's specific hashtags. I don't really use hashtags, but if there's like specific hashtags that people use a lot, you can kind of put the hashtag in, and then I think Instagram sort of shows you how many times that hashtag's been used. So if you put one in and it's literally got no uses, and it's probably not the right hashtag to try and find things with, like relevant to your business or your niche.
Definitely. And if you're a bit, you're stuck on what hashtags you should be using, again, it's just a small Google search, and there's like little calculators and little bots online that will create them for you if you put in your niche area.
And final question is, unless anyone wants to come off mute after this question, is there a rule of thumb of cost versus influencer reach?
I definitely wish there was. It's really scalable. So I've worked with people with 1.5 million followers that would be just as happy with a gift if they really like the brand. And then I've worked with people with perhaps 300 followers who are asking for £100 and the product to be gifted. I wish there was a one size fits all approach. There definitely isn't, no. But I think it's more personalized and be looking at your return on investment. So if they've got 500 followers and around, they might be able to give you some more metrics on how much reach their posts have, etc. So if they've got 500 followers and approximately 350 see their posts on a daily basis, you need to start thinking about which ones of those are more likely to convert. How much money could you make from that? You know, what can you afford to put in? So yeah, I wish there was, but sadly not. It's a bit of a learning game with influencer marketing.
I think an additional point there is that when you're doing outreach, if you are doing it yourself, you probably will get quite a lot of people that will come back and like straight away ask about money and negotiating that kind of thing. But the best thing you can do is try and build some sort of relationship and choose the right people. So if you find someone that's already using your product, great, you can say to them, I see that you already used my product, or you've already used it in the past and you like it. Can we discuss this? And then it's not a completely cold outreach. Or you might in fact be able to find people that have already reviewed your product somehow. So it's best to try, and I think the rule of thumb really in terms of cost is to find the right people and build a relationship. And you might be able to get the costs down in terms of what they're asking for.
Definitely.
I think that's everything in terms of the questions. Does anybody else have any others that they would like to ask at all? People don't normally want to come off mute, especially when there's this many people on. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that, and I hope it was really insightful. It definitely was useful for me anyway. And I think influencer marketing is only going to get bigger. So if it is relevant for your business and you haven't tried it yet, perhaps try and give it a go. Or we've got one more question. What are set tips for photographers?
I think if you're working with a content creator and, you know, you think you
the question is SEO tips for photographers.
Okay, sorry. SEO tips, sure. If they're just plain photographers, if they've got a blog, they're more than likely creating their own, blog content around that. So if you can give them any tips that are, for example, there are this amount of people searching for this term, or there is this amount of, let me think of, if I give an example. Maybe you're going to a food blogger because you're a small artisanal chocolate maker. So you're going to be searching, for example, homemade chocolate or terms like that. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be finding the monthly search volumes, and you're going to be going to the influencer and you're going to be saying, the photographer, and you're going to be saying, actually, if you work with me on this content and include those keywords, it'll be really beneficial for you because there are X amount of people searching for this every month, and that's exposing your brand as well as mine. And that's where they're really likely to collaborate and work with you, because you've got to show them their benefit as well. So as much as their followers are interested in it, what's the benefit for their personal brand? It's almost threefold.
Perfect, thank you. Lots of people saying it's helpful, so that's good. Thank you for all the feedback. I think there was a question around, I think it was like, missed your name. Oh, it's Beth. Thanks for the useful tips. That's lovely. Thank you for all the feedback, guys. Hopefully this was useful. And the session will be online on the URL that I provided. But if you have any issues, just drop Nettle an email. What are the age demo? We have one more question. Sorry.
No,
what are the age demographics for different social media sites? I think you can type that into Google, and there's a website, a statistics website, I can't remember what it's called, that comes up and tells you the demographics for different people on different social media sites. But you can also check on your own social media. I haven't used it for a while, but I think there's in Facebook, you can check the demographics of people that are visiting your Facebook page, if you have one, for example, and Instagram. Is that correct?
Yes.
SEO tips for food blogging. SEO tips for blogging in general, keyword research. So if you're trying to improve the SEO of your website, whether that is through influencer marketing or through any other on-page SEO activity, you need to make sure your website is targeted and is relevant to your business or whatever you're trying to achieve. So if you are a food blogger, then do some keyword research around food blogging. There's lots of different tools out there. If you just type in free keyword research tools, there's one called Uber Suggests, there's peoplealsoask.com, which gives you questions that people are asking about food blogging, for example. There's lots of free keyword research tools. It's all about making your website and whatever you're doing for your marketing ultimately relevant, because Google's and any search engine's algorithms now are focused on relevancy. So just, I won't stress enough that you need to be talking about and doing marketing related to what you do as a business. I always go back to when I worked at a previous company. We used to do a lot of like cat memes on Facebook, and they performed really well. And like people loved seeing like things about cats and dogs, and they, you know, the engagement rate was great. But we were a financial services company, so it was completely pointless. And we would just be like, yeah, we're getting really good engagement, but actually no one was coming to the website to buy our product. So you really need to just be doing things that are relevant to what you're trying to achieve and what your objectives are, and always go back to that. I'm going to be quiet now and let you all go, because give you 6 minutes of your life back. Thank you very much. Thanks, Beth.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.